Okay, we're gonna go ahead and get started and people can kind of come in as we start. But once again, hi to everyone. Welcome to Paying Dollars for Your Degree. My name is Claire and I'm on the Teen Advisory Board at the Arizona Science Center. And the Teens Board's mission is to re-engage teens in STEM through a range of different events, all of which are taking place virtually right now. And before we begin the event, the board would first like to recognize the winners of our Falling into STEM competition from last month. In first place is Deval Deliwala, in second place is Maya Schwickert, and in third place is Alice Chambers. Thank you all so much again for attending tonight's event, and I'm going to hand it over to Chloe.
All right, thank you so much, Claire. So do we have an opening poll really quickly?
I'm sorry, what, Chloe?
Do we have an opening poll? I thought we talked about that.
Yep, we do.
All right, thank you so much. So if everybody could please fill out this poll so we could get to know everybody a little bit better. Thank you so much. Thank you. So yes, it looks like we have mostly juniors. Most of you are interested in science, which is awesome. And then yes, the student loan debt crisis is $1.6 billion in the United States. A lot of money, unfortunately. All right, so first, now we will begin with our first panelist, Heidi Doxey. She is from the Arizona College Access Network, or AZCAN, which is a community of college access professionals dedicated to post-secondary success for all Arizonians, especially low-income, first-generation minority students. AZCAN is associated with a program called Ask Benji, which is Arizona's digital FAFSA assistant, a chat box that specializes in answering financial aid and FAFSA questions.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen really quick. You guys see that? Okay. Perfect. Hi, my name is Heidi. I work for AZCAN, like Chloe said, and what I really love to do is help counselors primarily figure out how they can better serve their kiddos when it comes to helping kids pay for college. So I have a couple of slides here. Also, my hair is not usually this blue. This was definitely a quarantine issue, so I'm sorry and you're welcome for that. So just a little bit of background about FAFSA in Arizona, just kind of by a raise of hands or a thumbs up on your reaction icons. How many of you know what a FAFSA is? I know we have a lot of juniors in here. Heard of it before? Okay. So FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. And what it is the portal or the application to get money from the federal government to help pay for college. So there's a couple of different types of aid from the federal government. So this isn't scholarships. That isn't like a package from NAU where they say they'll pay 50% of your tuition or anything like that. This is money from the federal government in Washington, D.C. set aside to help you go to college. So there's student loans that are subsidized by the government. There's a federal Pell Grant, which is money you don't have to pay back. And then there's also work study. So that's the three types of aid that you can get through FAFSA. I will say that most Arizona families who are in like a middle income bracket average about $10,000 per year per college student in federal aid. So that's usually a combination of Pell Grant, some subsidized student loans, which you can only take out $5,000 per year in subsidized federal student loans. I want to be really clear about that. And then also work study, which is a job on campus. So most families get about $10,000 per kid per year in federal aid. Some of you have to pay back, some of it you don't. Okay, so that's kind of a baseline. Also, my other baseline is when I say college, I mean anything after your high school diploma. So I mean a 4-year university, I mean a 2-year community college, and I'm also talking about like tech programs, vocational school, like an 18-month certificate or a 9-month certificate. All of that to me counts as college. Some is longer, some is shorter, but it's all post-secondary, which is post-high school education. Okay, so those are some base rules and vocabulary for what I'm going to talk about for the next little bit. So Arizona has the second lowest FAFSA completion in the country. Only 42% of our seniors submitted a FAFSA last year, which means a lot of money that could have been spent on education from the federal government in Arizona was not, which means a lot of families who could have sent their kids to college did not. We also know that by and large, if a student submits a FAFSA, which you do your senior year of high school, they will go on to some kind of college, whether that's, community college or a four-year degree or a vocational school. So it's a really, really important piece because it's like the gateway for your financing your college education. Okay, so on the right side here is a bunch of our partners here in Arizona that are working together to help more students in Arizona high school submit a FAFSA so that they can pay for college. I do want to recognize all of them. I'm not going to read them out because you guys can all read and I've already been talking for a minute. But also, I did not have blue hair in this picture. I'm usually blonde. Okay, so I do want to tell you a little bit about Benji. Benji is a text message based FAFSA chatbot. So you don't have to download anything. It's not like an app from the App Store. You just send a text message and Benji, our imaginary text message robot, will respond with FAFSA answers and financial aid questions and answers and kind of general, how do we go to college? What do I do first? It's on your phone, just like whatever text message platform you have, because we know that most teenagers have a phone. Most of them are online constantly. And then our cute little robot does handle most of the messages that come in and out of this chatbot. We do have a team of folks that answer the tricky questions, but Benji, our little robot, is doing really well. He's only about a year old and he's learned a lot in the last year. So Benji, like Chloe said, is a FAFSA digital assistant. So he's, again, just text message. There's no app or no download. It's built for Arizona seniors and it's a chatbot. So you can ask him questions any time of day. He does answer at 2:30 in the morning. I have checked. And then he also will send you links and follow-up information for like larger questions. And we do send nudge messages to our students as well, who are like Benji users. You'll get usually one, sometimes two in the fall, messages per week about what are my next steps? How do you apply to college? What are the priority deadlines? What is the schedule two? Like kind of some myth busting and general information about what it takes to go to college and particularly how you pay to go to college. This is not a recruitment tool, so we're not like sharing data with colleges or universities or anything like that. We don't really care where you go to college. We just want you to go to some kind of post-secondary. Right now, Benji is working with 31 districts in Arizona all across the state. We're in like 10 of the 15 counties, which is really exciting. And we have about 30,000 seniors who are currently texting Benji. Now, for you juniors, if you are next year, if you're in one of our school districts, you'll probably get a text message like in September that says, hey, I'm Benji, I'm a digital FAFSA assistant, ready to help you with your FAFSA and financial aid. So just so you know, that's how that works. You can opt out at any time just by saying stop, but the districts that we work with, all of the seniors usually get kind of an introductory message in September to help with their financial aid and college application processes throughout the year. Benji is completely virtual, which is really great this fall because we can help students no matter where they are and whether they're in school or out of school or able to talk to a counselor or not. We can send those kind of proactive nudges about college and then also answer questions when they may not, have a college rep on their campus who can answer questions. Benji can. You just send him a text message and he will definitely get back to you. So Benji's brain is called a knowledge base, and this is a little bit technical, but this is how a chatbot works. It's powered by artificial intelligence. So Benji reads your question and then pulls from like 700 different answers to get the right one for you. So it's pretty cool to see how that works, but that's how he answers. So there are humans that look over that. So please don't send in really terrible curse words. We get those all the time. Don't do it because we have to look at those and like, don't do that. He's for FAFSA and financial aid. If you want to text Benji, his number is right there. Benji will ask you a couple of like get to know you kind of questions. He'll ask your name, he'll ask your birthday, he'll ask what grade you're in, he'll ask where you go to school and your zip code. So we can kind of group you with the other students at your school and send targeted messages like, hey, Tolleson District, there's a FAFSA event or a college fair on this day. These are the details about that. So that's kind of why he asks the questions that he does ask. Do you want to share this quick video about, this is for some students from Mesa Public Schools, which was our pilot district for Benji last year, talking about FAFSA and financial aid, and then also how Benji has helped.
I come from a low-income family, so I was still stressed out about how am I going to pay for college. I heard that it's like $30,000. No way my family could pay for that.
My biggest obstacle to achieving my college dreams is definitely the finances.
I would say the biggest obstacle is definitely the money. I mean, the thing that people stress about the most is like student loans and how to avoid those.
Well, the key in a place like Arizona, where we have the 49th lowest rate of FAFSA engagement, is to get people aware, to get them on the pathway, to get them while in high school to fill out the FAFSA form. And so what this is a way to empower folks to gain access to these resources.
Benji is an AI system that can answer your FAFSA questions through text. So if you text a certain number and you ask any questions you have about FAFSA, he responds basically immediately, and as more people ask questions, he's able to better answer them.
I feel like Benji has really helped me for paying for college because it really helped me through the process of the FAFSA.
I think Benji is super awesome, and it really does a great job at giving you the information that you need. And I'm excited to see what I can do by the time I graduate.
Okay, so I talked to you a little bit about like the question and answer part of Benji's brain, and I do want to just mention about the nudge part, which means that Benji is sending you proactive messages. So these are just screenshots from Benji sending me messages, but this is kind of what they look like. The one on the very left is kind of how the Q and answer goes, of what you ask and what you get back from Benji. Sometimes it's got like links in it, like right there, that will send you to the FAFSA website or a particular part of the FAFSA website or scholarship certs or something like that. And then there's also just a lot of information in those text messages, so you can hopefully take your next steps on the college application or FAFSA or financial aid piece. The one in the middle is talking about, hey, I'm Benji, I'm here to help. And then this one on the right is about a 1-800 number for FAFSA and college in Arizona, which I'll talk about in a minute. And so that's what Benji looks like on your phone. Like, it's not an app, it's just whatever your text message platform is, that's where it comes through. Benji does speak multiple languages. So anything that Google Translate can translate, Benji will read and translate automatically back to you. So if you are a parent, we do parents and families as well, want Swahili or Somali or Arabic or Spanish or French or whatever, you just, after you've gone through that enrollment process where Benji is asking your name and the school you go to and stuff like that, you do #language and send it as a text message, and it will prompt a script asking you what language you want and have you confirm it. And then at that point, anything that you or a parent text to Benji in Spanish, Benji answers in Spanish with the correct answer. So he's not a native Spanish speaker. I must say that. He's using Google Translate, but he's getting pretty good at it. And again, we do have some teams of people who are babysitting him and making sure that he's actually answering correctly and correcting him when he is a little bit off. So that's the multi-language piece, which is really exciting. That's kind of new for us. Again, oh, that's what that looks like. You can do #language Spanish, and then you can answer the questions in Spanish, or if you do #language French, your questions will be in French or whatever, or you can do the whole thing in English, which is the one on the right. So I do want to make sure that most people in our user base for Benji who do a different language are either refugees or parents who prefer a different language, which is totally fine. Like, parents need answers for FAFSA questions as well, right? So Benji can do that in whatever language Google Translate can translate. Okay, here's another quick video about Benji. This is only like 40 seconds, I think.
Hi, meet Benji, your digital FAFSA assistant. Benji is here to answer your FAFSA and college financial aid questions. Benji is a chatbot powered by artificial intelligence. Whether you're a student, parent, teacher, or counselor, Benji is just a text away. It's free and easy. To get started, just text Hi Benji to 602-786-8171. To learn more about Benji, go to askbenji.org or check out Benji on social media.
Okay, so you're kind of seeing a little bit like what Benji looks like. You can follow us on social media. We have Benji FAFSA on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram. We have a little bit of fun with our social media accounts because we like to relate to kids. Also, I send a lot of memes in my life, so that's definitely partly me. But we do post myths and tips and tricks and myth busters and like things like that. Just kind of, I don't know, there's probably 4 or 5 a week on each of the different platforms, and we do run some contests and things on social media as well. So give us a follow there. Also, if you need a little Benji Baby Yoda in your life, I am very happy to deliver that. There you go, you're welcome. So let's see, one more thing. Oh, our 1-800 number. So this is new that we've launched with actually some of the folks on this call. ASU and Be a Leader Foundation, College Depot, and my organization have launched 2, actually 1-833 phone numbers. If Benji is not cutting it and you need someone to actually talk to and you don't know who to call, you can call 1-833-AZ-FAFSA or 1-833-ME-FAFSA, which is the one in Spanish. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, someone will answer the phone and either answer your question immediately or set you up with an appointment with someone who can answer. So if you have a super specific question that the folks who are frontline phone answerers don't know the answer to, they will find out who knows the answer, and that person will either give you a call back or send you an email or whatever you prefer. If you want to do a video meeting, they can do that too. So really easy to remember, 833-AZ-FAFSA or 833-ME-FAFSA for Spanish. You can leave a message if you call them in the middle of the night, and we'll go back to you the next day. So that's the other resource. In addition to texting Benji, you can always call our hotline. Okay, and that's everything that I have. I think I did it in under 10 minutes. Good job, Heidi. And I think we're doing questions at the end. Is that a true story? I think that's true. Yes, I will put Benji's number in the chat in just a hot second. So that is really good. And you can also find it on askbenji.org. I'll put all of that in the chat so everyone can see it. Okay, I think that is. I'm trying to stop sharing. It's not letting me. You guys just get to watch this the rest of the day. There we go. Okay, perfect.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Heidi, for that wonderful presentation. The next panelist that we have is Bianca from College Depot. College Depot's mission is to expand access to higher education opportunities for underserved populations in the Phoenix community by offering free, comprehensive re-engagement and college planning services. Today, Bianca will be talking about the anatomy of scholarships. Bianca?
Thank you so much for the introduction. Like she mentioned, my name is Bianca. I'm an AmeriCorps member at College Depot. Been there for 4 years since my freshman year of college. And just to get started, I do want to introduce the website for you guys because this is where we get a lot of our resources, especially when we have our one-on-one appointments. And when people come and ask for our assistance, we're more than happy to help, but we also want you to know that these resources are at your fingertips. For scholarships, since we only have 10 minutes and I do want to give you kind of where to get started, we are going to review our scholarship list. So this is a really great opportunity to get started on your scholarship search. Before we get into the details of where to find these scholarships, we do have scholarship tips and resources available for you here. Spreadsheets. So this spreadsheet specifically works on organizing your scholarship. So something that we do talk about in the anatomy of scholarships is organize, organize, organize. That goes for your resume or your academic resume, your grades, everything to do with your transcripts and personal statements and essays. All of which that I just said, you can find helpful tips here as well. So this is for your personal statements. We do also review personal statements. Here you can click on a request for one-on-one appointment to review your personal statement. And you do get in touch with an advisor to do that as well. So it's like constructive criticism in that sense. For letters of recommendation, we here have some important tips and student self-assessment. This is just for you to give a better idea to your recommender. Who are they recommending when you're going to give out that letter of rec? So we also have an international eligibility scholarship list for the 2020 to 2021 academic school year. What does this entail? So this is talking to our DACA and DREAMer students right here. A lot of the times when you do talk about, financial aid, a lot of students that are DACA and DREAMer face this challenge of funding their education due to their status, but do not fear, this is a challenge that we will overcome together. So that's why we put together this scholarship list here available for you to citizens or residency to, go ahead and look at your options. To the right-hand side, we have various scholarships opportunities. So this is more of foundations. This is for the students that are planning to stay inside of Arizona or that are part of an organization such as like the Hispanic Association or are consider and identify themselves as Hispanics as well. Here are different foundations that you can go through to get scholarship aid and assistance moving forward. In the bottom, this is our scholarship websites. Essentially what we have here for you is an opportunity for you to create a scholarship profile that will match you with scholarships based on your profile and everything that you input. We recommend students to look at College Greenlight and also Unigo. It's a pretty good website for you to get matched with scholarships that you already meet the prerequisites for. If we go up again, we're gonna see here, this is to view all scholarship lists. So as advisors, we tell you to go month by month basis. This is so it doesn't seem overwhelming and an over challenging obstacle to apply for scholarships, because when you see all of these ones, you're thinking, how am I gonna apply to all these and have enough time to still be a senior or do extracurricular activities? The thing is, consider this as your part-time job. So something that we've come to learn is that for every scholarship that you apply for every 10, you're bound to get one. Usually a scholarship application takes around 40 to an hour, depending on the different category scholarships. So category 1 is a random selection. It can be as simple as filling out a questionnaire. Category 2, we're looking more of, they're gonna ask for academics, extracurricular activities, GPA, and your involvement in your community. Category 3, we're looking more of like letters of recommendation, as well as essays and personal statement. And like I said, from category 1 to category 3, the amount does increase. So category 1, we're looking at more of like $400 to $500. 2, within the same range, but hitting 1,000. And then 3 is those big $12,000, $1,000 scholarships that students find very appealing. But so if we're going to go ahead and click here for monthly deadlines, see if it'll pop up right now in a bit. And like I said, this is a great base to start off your scholarship search. But like the foundations are also very reliable sources, as well as the scholarship websites. And it's taking a while for it to load up. There we go. No, yes. So let's say you are a student right now and it's the month of November. Something we'd recommend, instead of looking for November, we say give it a December. So always look 1 month in advance. So let's go ahead and click December. Essentially what you have here is the scholarship, the deadline, the award, and the requirements. We break it down very, very simple for you to have an idea of this approach. So for example, high school senior, minimum GPA of a 2.4, must be Pell Grant eligible. So this is what you'll know after you complete your FASFA. And then participate in a approved college readiness program on 11 to 12. So this could be anything from the ACE program. It can be for your IB honors courses as well. If you do have questions about the requirements, something that we tell students, don't completely eliminate yourself from the opportunity to apply. If you're near the average to get into it, we still encourage you to apply because you never know. And then right here, personal statement with career goals, unofficial transcript, and 2 letters of rec. And then when we see here, this is the award. So this is a category 3 scholarship that we were talking about. It's $20,000 plus laptop and other resources. The deadline is December 1st. And then this is the link that takes you directly to the application. So having this all broken down, let's say you apply to 10 and you get 1, and that 1 is $500, but you work 10 hours. You've just made $500 working 10 hours, which is the best part-time job as a student that you can have as of right now. So it's something that you really do have to be patient, because no scholarship is guaranteed. That is something we do make very realistic to the students that are applying. It's not a guarantee that you'll get it, but it is a great trial and error practice moving forward, especially, you know, for the students that are going to go for the honors program, students that are going to want to go into an internship or an externship while they're in their college process. This is a great opportunity to start practicing on advocating for yourself and presenting yourself in a professional manner. So, and it can only benefit you. That's another thing that we do tell students a lot. And so moving on from this and kind of going into where I want to get to for the end of my 10 minutes is when you go to the main page, something that we're going to be hosting every Saturday for the month of November, it's called the Anatomy of Scholarship. So basically what I told you, but broken down into how to apply and where to start. So it's going to be a step-by-step, very detailed anatomy of how to approach scholarships and how to be successful in this process without stressing yourself too much with everything that's already going on, because we understand being a student and being on this platform can get very stressful. So if you go to this workshops and events, you're going to go down and see we also have FASFA labs, apprenticeship labs. So this is offered in Spanish, but we do also offer it in English, College Depot Scholarship Lab. And those are the times, and if you would like to register, you would just go ahead and click there, put your first, last name, phone number, and email, and then we will send you the invitation to apply. Not to apply, I'm sorry, the invitation for the lab. I really appreciate the time that was given. And like I said, we're a free full service college planning, not only for scholarships, but for many other resources, especially if you have older siblings that are in college right now and need help with financial aid or just the next steps, we'll be more than willing to help. So thank you so much for the time. And I wish the best of luck for your education endeavors.
Thank you so much for all of that information. Now we will be moving into our student panel, and the two speakers that we will be hearing from today are Jennifer Duenas and Kyle Poland, and they're actually former Teen Advisory Board members. So first, if you could please just start off by telling us a little bit about yourselves.
Hi, so my name is Jennifer Duenas. I am a senior at Arizona State University. I am double majoring in pharmacology, toxicology, and neuroscience. I am a first-generation student from my family. I am Hispanic, so I fit into, you know, that Hispanic category, that minority category for a lot of those scholarships that were mentioned on the website. So really knowing, I think, where you stand helps you apply to certain scholarships. I don't know, I like to play the ukulele and I read and I write, so that's me. Thank you.
And hi, everybody. My name is Kyle Poland. I'm a sophomore at Arizona State University, Barrett, the Honors College. I'm studying biochemistry and global health on the pre-medicine track. And I've been through the whole scholarship plan, and, you know, financials was definitely weighing heavy on my mind when I was going through high school. So hopefully we can pass on some good advice in our experiences that can help you guys maybe alleviate some of that tension going into college.
Great, thank you so much. So you both are involved in STEM fields. Can I ask, please, what inspired you to go into those fields?
So for me, I know that I went to Bioscience High School, which is in the Phoenix Union District. And to me, that was a really heavy science and math-based school. So a lot of the courses I was taking were, you know, an introduction to what I'm taking now, and it really inspired me in terms of sparking that interest. And then when I completed, you know, volunteering hours at Arizona Science Center, and then I was on the teen board, that really pushed me even further to really decide on a major and decide to do science. I wasn't a very strong science student. I know that I struggled a lot in those courses just because of certain resource limits and things like that. But overall, I think it was the best choice that I made, because now I have, you know, overcome those fears of thinking I'm not good enough for that field, and it's opened my full potential, I think.
Yeah, I think a lot of what Jennifer said resonates with me. I clicked with science pretty early in the classroom, and just the concepts, taking anatomy and having these dual enrollment courses where I could essentially get college credit for courses that I could be doing anyway offered at my high school, definitely piqued my interest, and I could see myself doing this in a college lecture someday. And so I think when it finally clicked with me was when I started volunteering at Honor Health Hospital my sophomore year of high school. And that was where I was really applying those things that I learned inside the classroom, all of these theoretical scientific concepts, and I could, be hands-on with them, and I can see them in practice. And shadowing doctors who use these skills every day and this foundational knowledge was really great. And I think I could combine that with the interpersonal interactions of patients and doctors as well. And I think it's safe to say at that point I was hooked. And I think it just is the best of both worlds, and it can really accommodate what you like in the classroom. But if you're a people person, or if you like writing, speaking, there's certainly a place for that too. There's always a shortage. So I think that that's what inspired me to go into science, STEM, and medicine specifically.
That's awesome. Thank you. So one of our focuses tonight is scholarships. So having that in mind, what are some tools that you use to find scholarships for college?
So for me, I started using actually the College Depot website, and I would dedicate a day out of the week to look up scholarships and really dedicate time and effort, specifically, like not just do it whenever you can, not just do it whenever you have a couple of hours, but really like dedicate a certain amount of time, because it does take time, it does take effort. And in terms of requirements, if they require a certain amount of community service hours, or letters of rec, or any other requirement that it has, like you need to really look at those requirements in advance and accommodate your time appropriately. If you do need to reach out, make sure that you're doing that in advance, and making sure you're completing a certain amount of hours for requirements and things like that. So really dedicating certain days out of the week to do those scholarship requirements, and attend scholarship workshops, go to your counselor, and making sure that you're looking at the college scholarship portals if you're applying to a certain school. I'm pretty sure all of the schools have a scholarship portal you can filter through, depending on what your interests are, where you're at in terms of finances and things like that. So that's what helped me, at least.
Yeah, I certainly agree. Having a plan is really important, and it starts early. But I think going in with an open mind especially is really important. So tapping into those networks of organizations that you're maybe a part of, especially early as well, that like Jennifer was saying, if there's hour requirements, it's important to start thinking about that early so you're not rushed your senior year. Of all things, the last thing you want to worry about is cramming in hour requirements. You want to focus on the essays, you want to focus on possible interviews, possible speaking arrangements. So, those are the things that you really want to focus on. And I think beyond just a simple Google search for scholarships, which is always handy, because you'll always find something. I think there's maybe an infinite number of scholarships out there. It's just a matter of finding them and trying. But yeah, from the school's perspective, they're always going to have opportunities, so you can scour their websites. That's certainly what I did. And then there's also private organizations, and maybe people that are a part of them, maybe you've been a part of them yourself. But in general, there is always an opportunity for an organization looking to sponsor a kid. So it can come down to the Rotary Club or Elks Lodge, or there's tons of older groups of people who have a lot of money that you just have to tap into. So Google searching and find your networks.
All right, thank you. So when did you both start applying to scholarships and to FAFSA?
I started pretty late, I think, for the average student. I think I started about midway October. I filled out the FAFSA. So after that, then I started to look into scholarships for ASU specifically, just because I knew that that's the school that I was going to go to, just because I had done dual enrollment and had, already picked out my major. So that was the school I was going to. And so I started looking at scholarships mid-October and started, applying to scholarships at least twice a week, every week. So that was my timeline.
Yeah, I certainly started thinking about it early. I don't think it's ever too early to start thinking about it, at least. But yeah, in the spring of my junior year is when I started to get a plan together, what sorts of things I wanted to apply for, to get ready for, checking those things like hour requirements and just all of the requirements in general. And so the earliest one that I think really kicked it into gear pretty quickly was the Flynn Scholarship. And that one, it changes sort of year to year. I know this year it's a bit earlier, but it's around the same time as early decision for most colleges that you would apply to. So I believe my year, it was in early September, maybe mid to late September. So on the earlier side, especially considering all of the things that have to go into it from an application and interview perspective. So it kicks it into gear around the beginning of senior year. And then I think the rest of those around the same timeline as Jennifer as well, that the fall is when things are starting to really happen, and through December, and then even in the spring as well, early in that January and February, there's always opportunities to be on the lookout for. Some you have to be patient for, and some can be within a month maybe that you'll hear back. So I think you just got to stay on your toes, but never too early to think about it, at least.
Great. So do you have any ideas? What are a few major scholarships you think we should know about? And how can you make yourself stand out among applicants for highly competitive scholarships?
So a few that I can think of at top of my head, I think is Hispanic Scholarship Fund. There's the Gates Millennium Scholarship. And then I think just any entry to Ivy League schools, if you're low income or in a situation of like extreme hardship, I think that guarantees you a lot of money, if not a full ride. So if you are thinking of taking those routes of doing these extremely competitive scholarships and means of funding, starting early on and really looking at the requirements and making sure that you understand what kind of student they're looking for, and not only meeting those requirements but excelling them, because they're they're looking for students who are excelling in those particular fields that they're looking for. So I know for the Gates Millennium Scholarship, they're looking for a lot of community involvement. So if you're a student who loves being in the community, working with organizations, with nonprofits, and you've even started one, like that would be a perfect scholarship for you. There's the Ronald McDonald House Charity Scholarship, I think that's what it's called now, and yeah, that also offers a lot of opportunities for students. So really looking at the scholarship requirements and seeing what your strengths are and how you can apply those to those scholarships.
Yeah, I think starting with that inside out approach is huge. Finding a mission statement somewhere on a website, something that you really align with. There's always going to be something that can resonate with you, I think. And you can play to your strengths. If you think that you're a better writer, if you think that you're a better speaker, if you think you're a better interviewer, artist, there's always going to be something out there. And so I think as long as you align, those things are going to be a strong applicant. And also by casting a wide net. I think for me, maybe I only got about half of the scholarships I applied to, if that, maybe like a quarter. And so, but that's what it's all about. There's a lot to go around, and it's best to start early. And I have to recommend the Flynn Scholarship. It's definitely huge, I think, for anybody. It was a game changer for me and a lot of my peers, covering pretty much every expense of an undergraduate education in Arizona, including study abroad. So that's something that I was very fortunate to receive and earn, and I definitely recommend that, on top of other things that I've heard about, like the Coca-Cola Scholarship. I have really great friends, and that's scalable. It's what you make of it. And so I think as long as you play to your strengths, cast a wide net, you'll be a strong applicant regardless. It's just a matter of sort of having a plan in place and understanding that you're not going to get all of them. Just you know, if you can hedge your bets, then definitely apply to as many as you can.
Great, thank you so much. And last question, please, for both of you. If you could go back to high school, would you have done anything differently? And if so, what?
For me, at least, I think I would go back and start earlier, definitely preparing towards those scholarships, because it is, you know, such a heavy, I think, aspect of determining whether you're actually going to go to college or not. So really starting early and looking at the requirements, as we've been saying, and making those timelines, those plans, and planning out your senior year so that it's smooth. Because on top of looking for scholarships, applying to college, you're still in school, you still have all these assignments, you still have, you know, all of your different extracurriculars and things of life. So really planning ahead, and I think that's the thing that I would go back and redo. But other than that, I'm pretty happy with where I'm at, and the financial aid that I was able to get, I'm really grateful for.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of emphasis in high school about what colleges you're applying to, the Common App, this and that. And I think that something I maybe wish that I would have done more is to talk about scholarships and financial aid with my peers, with friends, with connections, because there's always a microscope on college. What college are you going to go to? But I think just as important as that is what school, like, are you going to get the money for? And they go hand in hand. So I think that even though the spotlight is often on the school that you go to, it's important to talk about, because you don't know what you don't know at the end of the day. And I think that if I were to talk with my peers a bit more, like, what have you heard? Talking to family, friends, what have you seen? That's a great way to tap into a network that you maybe wouldn't have gone into before. Because I think it is a numbers game at the end of the day, that you want to hedge your bets by getting as many as you can. Nothing's guaranteed. So I think just learning about these things early, keeping an eye on them, and talking about it more often is beneficial. And I think great advice for anybody, regardless of, you know, if you're a freshman, if you're a junior, if you're a senior, it's always good to have on your radar. But yeah, the process starts early, and I wish all of you guys good luck.
Thank you both so much.
Okay, so now we're going to move on to the Q&A session of our webinar. So basically, at this time, any of the attendees who have any questions at all, either for the college speakers or for Heidi, for Bianca, any questions at all, go ahead and put them in the Q&A box, and I will go ahead and ask them to our panelists. So the first question that we have is specifically for Jennifer and Kyle. Do you have any more advice about scholarship essays?
Be you. Like, I can't emphasize that enough. Like, it's easy to become this generated, like, perfect student that they're looking for, but ultimately they're trying to understand what your goals are, what you're going to contribute to society in the future. So really being authentic with yourself, and, you know, really presenting yourself like, hey, this is me, and that's why you should, or presenting yourself in a way that makes them believe in you, in your goals. And if you do have hardships, present them in a way that doesn't make them look like they limited you, but made you, if that makes sense. So really advocating for yourself professionally was a good learning experience for me while applying to these scholarships. So yes, definitely being authentic with yourself.
Yeah, I didn't consider myself much of a writer going into the whole scholarship college applying process, but it really made me a writer. We're talking about hardships that made you. I think that certainly the practice of doing it is really effective. And so what I would recommend, obviously, authenticity is huge, like Jennifer said. And I think also getting second pairs of eyes on it, because those are the people that also know you. If you can ask your parents, if you can ask your teachers, counselors, I think those are going to be some of the best resources for proofreading. And even without giving them a prompt, give them the paper and say, does it sound like me? And I think as long as you can come across genuine in that way, and of course it aligns with your interests, that's going to be a really good chance of you coming across authentically. And that all kind of boils down to as well, applying to things that you have interest and experience in. If you're not a fisherman, it's going to be really tough to write an essay about how much you love fish, for example. And a lot of times they come down to your interest, whether it's STEM or community service or government relations, finance. There's something out there for everybody. It's just a matter of finding what fits and then being you.
That's really great advice. Thank you so much. So the next question that we have, I think is more geared towards Heidi and Bianca. So can first generation or non-residential students apply for FAFSA?
Calling me, I know this one. So, and I want to talk about two. One of them I answered in the text anonymous question answer. I answered this. So I'm going to answer both of those. So to be eligible for FAFSA funding, which is federal financial aid, right? You must be a citizen or an eligible non-citizen. The student must be a citizen or an eligible non-citizen. And there's a couple of marcations on what an eligible non-citizen is. You can look it up on FAFSA.gov. I will say that your parents' immigration status, if you are a citizen, has nothing to do with you getting funding. A student who is a US citizen who has undocumented parents can still get a full Pell Grant. Let me say it again. Your parents' immigration status has nothing to do with you getting funding if you are an eligible citizen, okay? And non-residential students, if you're talking about like a non-Arizona resident, yeah, you can apply for FAFSA for any US citizen. The non-resident, I'm not positive on that. Bianca, I don't know if you know the non-resident eligibility piece for a FAFSA. I'd have to look it up. So I'm gonna look it up in a minute. But.
Yeah, it's specified on the FAFSA page. Like you would know because they'll let you on your requirements for non-resident. But it's kind of tricky, so you would have to double check. So
yeah, that would definitely be a question to go to College Depot about. Just for the record.
Yes, Diana
will answer all of those.
On those detailed questions that don't usually come up, but there's definitely an answer to that.
Yeah. And then the other FAFSA question that I wanted to answer is where can you use federal Pell funding or federal subsidized student loans, like what colleges and universities? Honestly, most colleges and universities in the United States. There are some like really small kind of sketchy ones that are not accredited that the federal government is like, yeah, you're not real college. Like, sorry, you don't get federal money. But like dental hygienist school, as long as it's accredited, you can probably use your Pell fund there or your subsidized loan there. Any state university, most private universities, like Christian universities for the most part, like liberal arts, small, large, in-state, out-of-state, Alaska, Puerto Rico, like wherever you want to go to college in like the United States, as long as it's accredited, which means, you know, legit, really, you can use federal funding to go to college there. If you have questions about something that's really kind of sketchy, like, I don't know, Uncle Larry's welding school that's out of his garage, that's not accredited. You can't use FAFSA funding there, sorry. But like the Welding Institute, you're good to go.
Thank you so much for that explanation. So the next question we have is more geared towards Jennifer and Kyle. Did either of you do work studies? And if so, what was that like?
My first year, as soon as I graduated, I started looking up work study positions. And again, you can go on your university's website and look up work study positions and filter through the ones that they have. And I was working for Changemaker Central, which is an organization that helps students get involved in their communities. So that was really important for me because I part of getting your scholarships is also maintaining your scholarships, or if you need to renew them. So a lot of scholarship requirements for me was to maintain my community involvement. So this work study helped me maintain those hours that I needed. And it also offered me, networking opportunities within ASU. I got to know the deans. I got to know a bunch of people who were involved with these nonprofit organizations. So work study for me, I think, was hard because you get paid minimum, but it's worth it because it's really flexible with your schedule as a student. So they allow you to skip a work day if you have an exam because you're a student first. No matter what, you are a student first. And your supervisors are obligated kind of to allow you to dedicate time to school. So I would definitely recommend work study.
Can I piggyback onto that answer really quick? So I want to define work study really quick. So Jennifer was definitely doing straight up work study, which the only way to get a work study classified position is to check that box on your FAFSA. Yes, I want to be considered for work study, just by the way. So it's not just a job on campus. It's a specific type of job on campus that is part of it. Not that this matters to you who just get your little paycheck, right? And I will emphasize, you're not making $97 an hour. You're closer to minimum wage, right? But you get your normal paycheck, but the university pays for part of it and the federal government pays for part of it, which is why you have to click that little box on the federal financial aid form, because that's how that, again, the back end, you don't care about that. But on the question on your FAFSA that says, do you want to be considered for work study? Click yes, always click yes on that. So there's that piece, number one. And then number two is there's a lot of other jobs on campuses that you can get that are not work study, that you still get paid, that you still have, some flexibility, and that you can still do your schedule first and then do your, shift schedule for your job. So there's both. Work study is a specific type of job, but there's lots of campus jobs that, if you want to do the job at the subway on campus or in the copy center or, whatever. So that would be just found on your college or university's open jobs page or whatever, or they usually have a student employment center on campus that you can go look at. So I just want to make sure that we're covering both of those bases.
I also want to quickly mention that work study positions are the first to go. So if you are considering work study positions, I would highly recommend doing that as soon as possible, or at least start looking into them because they are limited and they are on a first come, first serve basis. So.
And really quick, if a student is awarded work study, it does not mean that you have a job. So like Jennifer pointed out, you do need to go through the application process. You get priority because you have work study. So that's what's really good to get in ahead and start looking at the jobs. You can even do it as of right now in Access and see the ones available. But if you do get work study, you get priority, but it doesn't mean you have a job. So it will be reflected on your financial aid, but you can't count on that aid unless you do get a job and get offered a position.
Sounds great. Thank you for that great explanation.
One more plug on that. All of that sounds confusing. Talk to the incoming freshman people who at the college or university whose job is to help incoming freshmen. They can help sort out all of that, whether it's in the admissions office or the financial aid office, or call College Depot or call our 1-800 number or whatever. You don't have to take notes and remember all of the things that we said. Lots and lots of people are around to help answer all of those questions.
Okay, so we have another question about work study. How soon should you apply for it? During senior year or summer before college or at any other time?
I started doing them during the summer. I started looking at them during my senior year, but since I hadn't technically graduated from high school, you're not eligible until you are an incoming freshman. So making sure that you're looking at them, seeing what positions interest you. If you are looking to become, a certain type of work study position, like I said, they do go really fast. So making sure you're reaching out to those position coordinators and letting them know you're interested, even if you're not, yet graduated, making sure that you're reaching out and saying, hey, my name is so-and-so, and I'm interested in this position. What are the requirements? Can you further explain that position, or whatever your questions are? And they'd be more than happy, because those positions are directed to students who are eligible for Pell Grants.
So step one is when you submit your FAFSA, which you can start doing October 1st of your senior year, say, yes, I would like to be considered for work study. Then submit your FAFSA, like you have to actually submit it, right? And then also apply to college. And once you have your FAFSA and your college application both done, then you can start looking at what the jobs on that campus are. So there's not like a one portal for work study. It's like work study at NAU, work study at Glendale Community College, work study at USC or whatever. So that would be your like 3 process pieces: is fill out a FAFSA, check, yes, I would like to be considered for work study, apply to the school, and then look at the school for work study opportunities. And exactly like Jennifer said, like see if you can reach out and phone call or email the coordinator, talk about it, make sure they know who you are. And then once you have graduated from high school and are an admitted freshman, that's when you're actually eligible to apply. Does that make sense? Okay. But again, if you're stuck, call the financial aid office at the school and say, hey, how do I apply for work study? And they will say exactly what I said with probably a couple more details, because that's their job.
Sounds great. Thank you. Okay, so this is our next question. So I think everyone can provide their own point of view for this. So what is the biggest barrier of completing the FAFSA for you personally? Or if you've observed anything in Heidi and Bianca's case?
Yeah, so we get a lot of financial related questions to your FAFSA. So a lot of the times where students get stuck, it's not the beginning and it's not the end when they're signing it, it's the financial aid. And this is because, you know, there are parents that do not have a social security number, but they do work and they don't file taxes. So how do they report, right? So whenever you are faced with these financial aid questions, it's really hard to kind of break down how to resolve them here and right now. But this is the point where I highly recommend you get in touch with one of our advisors at College Depot. Also, there's people on the campus to help you with your financial aid, as well as there's resources at your school. So reach out and do not feel do not feel like you cannot speak about this, because you can. On the contrary, we want to help you get over that financial aid portion. So the financial aid portion is always very tricky, because it always comes down to the taxes, the social security numbers, as well as like if you're a student who also works, do I file, do I not file? All of questions that we are more than happy to help. And if for any reason, if you are a junior right now, we do host FASFA labs. You know, you can just go and join and just hear what we have to say, get an idea, start preparing, because a lot of the times people do have an ITIN number and they don't file for a year. And an ITIN number is a number given from the IRS to undocumented residents in the United States. And they don't file for a year, and then they need to file, and that's a process that will take up time. When they want to do it in October, it will probably push back their application until January. So if you want to learn a little bit more about the FAFSA and that financial aid section, I highly encourage just joining one of our FAFSA labs and just hearing what we have to say.
I can just say from my personal experience, it was certainly daunting, and at first, and like they say, the hardest part of a 1,000-mile journey is the first step. But I think that I was expecting to sit down and be able to just bang it out in one sitting. But, you know, there's a couple questions in there. It's like, I don't understand how taxes work. I don't know what these numbers are. I don't know what these letters are for. So that's something that it's important to ask for help. And, you know, asking your parents for things. I thought I could just do it myself. Not necessarily the case. It became more of a family arrangement, you know, as you have to get a lot of stuff together, keep track of a lot of things. But yeah, definitely reaching out to those resources that you've had, obviously within your family, but also the resources that we've presented to you guys today. Like those are all very useful There's so many people who have been through it before, seen how daunting it is, and probably been discouraged by it. But that's not going to be any of you guys, because now you have resources and you guys know what to do. So I think that the best advice I can give is always ask for help, because I was in your guys' shoes as well. That it was pretty daunting, and it turned out to be, something that was very worth investing in. So that's my take.
Sounds great. Do Heidi or Jennifer want to give their takes on it, or do you want to pass?
So I don't know. I've been working with college access, so helping kids get to college and figure out how to pay for it for 13 or 14 years now. And I can do a FAFSA in about 30 minutes with a family if they have all of their documents. So but that's because I've done 5,000 of them, right? So the documents that you need, there's lists from your high school, or you can find lists online of what documents you need. As long as you have all of those things, social security numbers, taxes, W-2s, if you have investments like a family farm. I've never seen someone have a family farm, but it's one of the FAFSA questions. If you have a family farm, I guess you need documents for that. I don't know. But as long as you have your list of documents, like the 5 or 6 things you need, it will not take you longer than an hour, especially if you have an appointment with someone, or have like a counselor or a college rep, or someone from College Depot or something sitting with you. You can get through that really fast. If you're going to do it at home with your parents, like, great, fantastic, text Benji, because he has almost all of the answers that you're going to need as well. He cannot point out which box on your taxes that you need to enter that number into your FAFSA, but he can answer a lot of the questions about the Schedule 2 stuff, or what is work study, or what is paid clergy, or like all of those things that probably don't make sense to you right now because they're very FAFSA-y tech language. But Benji knows all of those answers as well. So text him and he'll respond real quick. And if he doesn't, I get an email and then I will respond. So.
For me, at least, it's like, I think it's a really stressful time for me. I don't know. I think it's more or less, it has to do with the fact that I was born in a different country. And then when I came here, I became a citizen, but then the FAFSA process, or I think the second process from ASU, is to verify that I am a US citizen. So then that's a very tedious, stressful process, and it happens every single year. So if you are in the same boat as me, where you were born somewhere else, have US citizenship, or any kind of, form of legal residency, so they'll have to verify that, and it is a tedious process, and you do have to provide supplemental forms of verification. So just be aware that that will happen.
Okay, so I think we may have partly answered this during the actual presentations, but for Kyle and Jennifer, since there are a bunch of scholarships out there, what scholarships would you recommend applying for? Like, do you have one main one that you would think is the most helpful for most individuals?
So you don't have to apply to this scholarship. This is the one I have, and the one that's funded most of my education. It's called the Obama Scholars Fund Scholarship at ASU. So as long as you are admitted to Arizona State University and you have filled out your FAFSA and you qualify for a Pell Grant, you are eligible, and you will, you're kind of guaranteed the fact that you will get the Obama Scholarship, and it covers tuition and some of your meals and room and board. So it depends on what campus you're going to. I'm talking in terms of ASU, like what campus you're going to. If you're going to the Tempe West, they've got one out in Mesa. Yes. And then they have one in Poly. No, Poly's the one in Mesa. Then they have one in Lake Havasu, I believe. So there's a lot of ASU campuses depending on what major you decide. And it applies to any major. It applies to any college you decide to go to within Arizona State University. And yeah, it funds the majority of your experience. So thank you for providing the link. It's a really, really important scholarship. A lot of people that I know applied to ASU because of it and are now able to have that higher education all paid for. So definitely look into that if you qualify for a Pell Grant.
And that's a scholarship that can be renewed for 4 years.
Yes, 4 years.
Yeah, I definitely recommend those sorts of resources. And I think of it as that there's kind of two types of scholarships. There's ones that are specific to a certain school or maybe a specific state. And then there's ones that aren't specific at all. And that money, you can't go spend it on bubblegum, but that's the type of thing that you can invest in your education. And a lot of times there's not even a timeline on when to use those, or maybe they expire after 10 years, but that's something that you can use at any point in your education. Maybe you reach senior year, I want to cash it in now, or maybe you want to wait till dental school, vet school, medical school, law school, and then you can cash it in. And so some that I would recommend, other than Flynn, which is for in-state, but I mentioned Coca-Cola before, and lots of these private organizations. I mentioned Elks Lodge before. I got scholarships through Sister Cities, an organization that I was a part of. You can spend it anytime. Honor Health Hospital as well. And then I'm definitely missing a few, but Rotary, these are national organizations, and VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. That's a scholarship that, and Optimus International, those are two that you can choose to use whenever you want. So you can use them for any university that you go to in the country towards pretty much any form of education. So if you have a set plan in your head of where you want to go, or you're committed to a school, definitely search the website portal of that school. They're always going to have opportunities. So for ASU specifically, of course, there's Obama. There's also Leadership Scholars Program, LSP. So those are big programs at ASU, and anywhere you go, you're going to have some opportunities like that.
Sounds great. Thank you so much to all the panelists and all the attendees that showed up. I don't know about everyone else, but I learned a lot. I know I'm looking forward to college too, but money might be a problem. So this is a great way to find a way to get some extra money that can help me with my college journey.
Definitely. So I'd just like to say thank you to everyone for coming. Thank you to our panelists. That was very, very informational. I learned a lot. I have like my page of notes over here. Learning a lot. Yeah, even though I'm part of the organizing it, I still learned a lot myself as well. Before we end, I'd just like to say this is the first event in a three webinar long series we're having called Preparing for College. And our next event will be on November 19th, called College Admissions During COVID-19. It's more centered around the current environment of college admissions. That's definitely something a lot of people have questions about, are unsure about. So definitely everyone who goes, make sure you go fill out the survey and provide your email so we can make sure we can send out information for that upcoming event. The other one is December 3rd. It's called Finding the Right Fit. And that's going to be more about like college sizes, college selection. And yeah, so we hope to see you guys coming back to those other events. Thank you so much to everyone, our panelists, especially our attendees, for joining us today. And I think that will be all for tonight.